I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. Honestly, I've always been the kind of guy who trusts his wife, Sarah, completely. We'd been together for 8 years, and yeah, we'd hit some rough patches, but I never suspected she was capable of cheating on me. She was the type to complain if I looked at another woman for too long, which I always thought was just her being jealous or a little bitchy. Never in my wildest dreams did I imagine she'd actually cheat behind my back, especially not during one of the biggest chess tournaments I've ever entered. See, I'm really into chess. It's my passion, my escape. Sarah hates that I spend so much time practicing and traveling for tournaments, but I never made a big deal about it. I'd tell her I was going to be away for a weekend, and she'd usually just roll her eyes and call me a nerd. But I thought she understood that chess was a part of me, and she was proud of me in her own bitchy, sarcastic way. That was until the tournament last month in Dallas. When I signed up for this tournament, I was doing it to prove to myself I could still compete at a high level. But I also knew Sarah would be there, cheering me on, pretending to care. What I didn't expect was to catch her in the act, literally. It all started with a strange feeling I had when I got back from the third round. I noticed her phone kept buzzing and she was acting weird. She was unusually tense, avoiding eye contact, and I caught her deleting messages right in front of me, which was weird because she usually just kept her phone on the table or in her purse. Then came the night of the big game. I was in my hotel room, studying some endgame tactics, when I decided to check her phone. I had this strange gut feeling, like something wasn't right. I looked through her messages and saw a bunch of texts from some guy named Jason. They weren't just friendly chatter, they were flirtatious, suggestive. You know what I mean. It was clear they'd been sleeping together or at least fooling around for a while. The messages were full of "can't wait to see you again" and "last night was so hot," and even more explicit stuff that made my stomach turn. I was stunned. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. How long had she been lying to me? How could she do this? I mean, I knew she was bitchy and manipulative sometimes, but I never thought she'd cheat on me. My mind just spiraled. I kept staring at those texts, replaying everything I thought I knew about her, and realized how naive I'd been. She'd been lying all along, smiling in my face, pretending to be the perfect wife, while she was sneaking around with some guy in a storage closet at the venue during the tournament. I didn't sleep that night. I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling, feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. The next morning, I decided I had to confront her. I didn't want to believe it, but the evidence was right there. I was furious, betrayed, and disgusted. Yet, part of me also felt incredibly stupid for not seeing it coming. How many times had I ignored the little signs? The late nights, the strange excuses, the way she suddenly became colder and bitchier whenever I asked about her plans. This was the biggest betrayal I'd ever experienced, and I honestly didn't know what I was going to do next. The confrontation was chaos, plain and simple. I remember walking into our hotel room with that sick feeling in my stomach, clutching her phone like it was a weapon. She was sitting on the bed, scrolling through her social media, acting like nothing was wrong. When I tossed her phone onto the bed and asked her about Jason, her reaction was so typical, defensive, bitchy, and full of lies. She looked up at me with her eyes narrowed like she was annoyed I'd interrupted her. "What the hell are you talking about? Jason, who the hell is that?" she snapped, crossing her arms. Her voice was dripping with sarcasm like she thought I was just some jealous idiot overreacting. But I didn't buy it. I knew what I saw. I shoved her phone in her face, my hands trembling, but I didn't care. "You tell me, Sarah, these messages, they're from you. You've been sleeping with him. How long has this been going on? Were you even planning to tell me? Or did you think I'd never find out?" Her eyes widened for a moment, then she rolled her eyes and scoffed. "Oh, please, you're crazy. Jason's just a friend, a chess opponent I bumped into in Dallas. You're overreacting. You always jump to conclusions. Maybe you're just insecure, or maybe you're just jealous because I don't pay enough attention to you lately." Her voice was sharp, like she was trying to turn the tables on me, but I wasn't buying it. Not anymore. I felt my blood boil. "That's bullshit, Sarah. I saw the texts. I saw what you wrote, and don't even try to deny it. You fucked him, didn't you? You cheated on me and I don't know how I didn't see it sooner. All those late nights, the weird excuses, you're a liar. I can't believe I married someone like you." She stood up, rolling her eyes again, acting like I was the crazy one. "Oh, so now I'm the liar. You're the one who's been obsessed with your stupid chess tournament. You're so into your games that you don't even notice I'm not happy anymore. Maybe I was bored, or maybe I wanted some excitement. Jesus, don't make me out to be some cheating slut just because I had some fun with a guy who actually cares about me." That was when I felt my hands shake uncontrollably. I looked at her, furious, heart pounding so hard I thought I'd burst. "You're full of shit, Sarah. You've been lying this whole time. I don't know what kind of woman you are, but I'm done. I just can't believe I wasted 8 years of my life on someone like you. The betrayal cuts too deep." Her face twisted into a sneer. "Whatever. Do what you want. I don't care. You're just a jealous, insecure little man who can't handle the truth. You're probably just mad because I didn't tell you about Jason sooner. It's not like I owed you that anyway." She stormed past me, acting like she was the victim. That moment crushed me. I felt a mixture of anger, sadness, and disgust all at once. I thought I knew her. I thought she was my wife, my partner. Instead, I found out she was just a manipulative, bitchy cheat who'd been lying to my face for months. I realized then that everything I believed about our marriage was a lie, and the worst part was knowing she'd probably lie her way out of this just like she always did. I didn't sleep that night either, but this time because I couldn't stop thinking about how badly I'd been played. After that confrontation, my mind was a whirlwind. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. All I could do was replay everything, her words, her sneer, the damn messages. I started questioning myself, wondering what I missed, what I did wrong that pushed her into some kind of betrayal. It was a crushing blow, but beneath the anger there was this sinking feeling of betrayal that just wouldn't go away. The next day, I knew I had to do something. Ignoring what I knew wasn't an option anymore. I needed proof, something irrefutable, so I started digging. I revisited her phone, sifted through her messages, her call logs, everything I could find. And then I remembered the security footage from the tournament venue. I'd seen a few clips earlier, but I hadn't paid much attention. I was too numb. So I contacted the tournament organizers, asked them if I could see the footage from the storage closet. They hesitated at first, but I was persistent, explaining my relationship situation and the importance of the evidence. They finally relented, giving me access to the recordings. I sat in a quiet corner watching the footage on my laptop. What I saw made my stomach drop. There in the grainy security footage was Sarah, sneaking into a storage closet between rounds with Jason. The camera caught the door opening, her slipping inside, and then the door closing behind them. I saw her in her tournament dress, her bitchy little smirk, and Jason's face, cocky, smug, like he knew he was getting away with something. They stayed in there for about 10 minutes, then exited, both looking over their shoulders, acting like they'd just committed a crime. That moment hit me hard. It wasn't just some flirtation or a little fun. Those two had been hiding something big. I could see them clearly, and no amount of her lying or denying could erase what I'd seen. My mind was racing, trying to process the betrayal, the lies, the fact that she'd been cheating on me during my biggest tournament, while I was trying to make a name for myself. And here she was, sneaking off with some guy in a storage closet like she was a damn teenager. I felt a mix of rage and heartbreak. How could I be so stupid? I had trusted her, believed in her, and she'd been playing me like a fool. I knew I had to confront her again, but this time I wanted to be prepared. I downloaded the footage, saved it as evidence, and waited for her to come home. I knew she'd lie, she'd deny everything, but I also knew I had enough to finally make her see I wasn't going to be played anymore. When she finally walked through the door, I was sitting on the couch with her phone in my hand, the video paused on the screen. She looked surprised at first, then her bitchy smirk returned. "What are you doing? Checking my phone again? Seriously, you're obsessed." I didn't say anything at first. I just turned the laptop toward her, played the footage, and watched her face drain of color. Her eyes darted back and forth, trying to come up with some stupid excuse. But I was finished listening. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. I knew I had enough. And I knew I needed to make a choice. I looked at her, cold and calm now, and said, You lied to me for months. You cheated on me during my tournament. I don't even recognize the woman standing in front of me anymore. You're a liar and a cheat, Sarah, and I'm done." Her reaction was instant. She scoffed, rolling her eyes like I was the crazy one. "Oh, please, you're overreacting. It's not what you think. That was just a one-time thing. I was drunk, and Jason, he was just there for the sex. Honestly, I don't even know why you're making such a big deal out of it. It's not like I love him or anything. It was just sex, okay? Just sex. You're acting like I'm some kind of cheating monster, but I swear, I didn't mean for it to happen. I wasn't planning on telling you, but then you found out, so here we are." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The level of her bullshit was astonishing. She was trying to spin it as some careless mistake, like it was just a meaningless fling. That's what she always did: lie, deny, and twist everything around to make herself look like the victim. Meanwhile, the evidence was right there, clear as day. That footage didn't lie. She'd been sneaking around behind my back for God knows how long, during a tournament I trained so hard for, and she was just brushing it off like it was nothing. I felt my fists clench, my jaw tightening. Rage boiled inside me, hotter than I'd ever experienced. All the pain, the betrayal, it all hit me at once. I wanted to scream, to shake her, to make her see how much she'd screwed up. But instead, I just stared at her, voice cold and steady. "You think a little sex makes it okay? You think I'd believe some bullshit excuse about drunken mistakes? You lied to me about everything. About Jason, about your feelings, about what you really wanted. How long has this been going on? How many times did you sneak off during my tournaments just to fuck him?" Her bitchy smirk didn't falter. "Look, I told you sex is sex. I was bored, okay? You're never home, always busy with your stupid chess. I needed some excitement, and Jason, he's just a guy who actually pays attention to me, unlike you, who's so obsessed with your stupid games that you don't even see what's right in front of you." That was the final straw. I saw red. I stood up, voice shaking with anger. "You can keep lying to yourself, Sarah. I'm done. I don't want to hear your bullshit anymore. You cheated on me, lied to my face, and expected me to just accept it. No, I'm leaving. I'm done with your manipulative, bitchy ass." I grabbed my coat, my heart pounding, feeling like I was walking away from not just her, but from everything I believed in our relationship. She yelled after me, calling me jealous, insecure, a crazy man. But I didn't look back. I knew I had to get out, get away from the toxicity, and start figuring out what to do next. I'd been played for a fool, and it hurt so much more than I thought it would. But deep down, I also knew I deserved better than someone who would cheat on me during a major tournament just to get some quick sex. The betrayal was a gut punch, and even now, I'm still trying to pick up the pieces of what's left of my trust, of my self-esteem. That woman, Sarah, she's a bitch, and I'm never letting her do this to me again. Getting out of that apartment felt like the heaviest thing I'd ever done. My hands were still trembling, my mind racing so fast it was hard to breathe. I kept replaying everything: her words, her smirk, the footage, all the lies. For a moment I wondered if I'd lost my mind, if I was overreacting. But then I remembered how she lied about everything. About Jason, about her feelings, about where she'd been. I knew I couldn't stay. I drove around town for hours trying to clear my head. It was late, maybe midnight, and I was exhausted physically and emotionally. I kept thinking about how she'd convinced herself that sex was just sex, that her little affair was no big deal. It made me sick. How could someone be so bitchy, so manipulative, and still have the nerve to lie straight to my face? I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, betrayed in the worst possible way. Eventually, I made the decision. I called my brother Mike and told him everything. He's the only one I trust completely, and I knew I needed support. I told him I was leaving her, that I'd had enough of the lies and betrayal. I didn't want to stay in that toxic mess anymore. I needed space to breathe, to think, to figure out what kind of man I wanted to be after this. Mike listened patiently, told me I'd done the right thing, and offered to come get me if I needed to crash at his place. So I went home and packed a bag. I didn't want to look at her anymore, didn't want to see her bitchy smirk or her manipulative eyes. I knew I'd never trust her again, not after what I'd seen and heard. As I was leaving, she tried to stop me, acting all innocent and hurt, saying things like, "I still love you," and "Can't we just talk?" But I didn't fall for it. I told her she was a liar, a cheat, and I didn't want to hear her excuses. Driving away, I felt a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. Yeah, I was hurt, crushed, honestly. But at the same time, a weight had lifted. The truth was out, and I finally saw her for what she really was. I knew I'd have to face the pain and the anger, but I also knew I was better off without someone who would betray me so completely. I told myself I'd heal, that I'd come out of this stronger, even if right now it felt like my entire world was falling apart. Now, I'm staying with Mike, trying to regroup. The worst part isn't even the cheating. I've dealt with betrayal before, even if not on this scale. It's the feeling of betrayal by someone I thought I knew, someone I loved. I used to believe she was bitchy and manipulative, but I never thought she'd go this far. It's like I was living with a stranger this whole time. But I've learned something. Never ignore the little signs, never assume someone's loyalty just because they say they love you. Because sometimes love isn't enough. Sometimes it's just a mask, until the mask slips and everything falls apart. Now that I've had some time to breathe and process everything, I realize how much this whole experience has changed me. At first, I felt shattered, like I was walking around with a gaping hole in my chest. I kept asking myself over and over how I didn't see it coming, how I could have been so blind. The betrayal cut deep, but I also learned a lot about trusting myself again. It's funny how you think you know someone, and then suddenly, everything you believed in turns out to be a lie. I've come to see that people can be manipulative and selfish. Sarah was the perfect example. Bitchy, clever at hiding her tracks, and totally willing to throw everything away for some stupid thrill. I used to think that if someone loved you, they wouldn't do something so cruel. But love doesn't mean anything if you're willing to lie, cheat, and deceive. That's what I learned the hard way. The hardest part was dealing with the aftermath, trying to pick up the pieces and figure out who I am now. I won't lie, some nights are still tough. I replay the moments, the lies, her smirk, and I feel angry all over again. But I also know that I can't let her define me. I have to keep moving forward, rebuild my confidence and trust again, slowly, one step at a time. Looking back, I wish I could tell anyone going through something similar, be careful who you trust. Don't ignore the signs, no matter how small. Don't convince yourself that someone is perfect because everyone has their flaws. Sometimes those flaws cut so deep, you never see them coming. And most importantly, don't be afraid to walk away when you realize you're being played. This experience has made me stronger, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. I've learned that I deserve honesty, respect, and loyalty, things I thought I had, but turns out I never really did. So I'll keep rebuilding. I'll find someone who values me for who I am, who respects me, and who doesn't cheat in secret in some stupid storage closet during a tournament. That's what I've taken away from this mess. And maybe, just maybe, I'll come out of it better, wiser, more cautious, and ready to trust again someday.